All right, we'd like to welcome Jake Knapp to the interview room at the Cognizant Classic in the Palm Beaches. Jake, thanks for joining us. You're coming off of your maiden win on the PGA Tour at the Mexican Open at Vedanta. Can you just share some thoughts and reflections from last week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's fully sunk in yet. Obviously, getting a lot of emails and texts and calls and everything. So, doing my best to try to focus on this week. But yeah, last week was pretty amazing, to say the least. Played really solid the first 3 days, and last day obviously wasn't pretty, but was happy I was able to get it done.
And that win earned you spots into the remaining 5 signature events. Can you touch on what you're most excited for, which events coming up over the next few months you're looking forward to?
All I can think about is the Masters. So, yeah, in between that place and Pebble Beach, I've always said I have no interest in playing the golf course or going there unless I'm playing. So, that one's very, just kind of the forefront of my mind. But at the same time, I'm super excited about the Arnold Palmer next week. I'm excited about the Players week after that. So, I'm trying to stay in the present right now.
Great. And turning our focus to this week here at the Cognizant Classic, have you had a chance to play the course? Just thoughts on competing this week?
Yeah, I played the back 9 yesterday. I'm going to try to walk the front 9 a little bit today. I mean, the course is great. I like it a lot, to be honest. It's windy and there's some challenging shots, and I think it'll be a good test. Obviously, the guys I'm playing with, hopefully I can feed off them, and I'm sure they'll play well.
Great. We'll go ahead and turn it to questions. If you raise your hand, we'll bring you a microphone. You can start right here.
Hi, Jake. George Willis, New York Sun. What did you learn about yourself on Sunday?
Basically just that I don't need to have my A+ game to win. I mean, obviously having a 4-shot lead definitely helps. But I've kind of always told myself ever since college, my assistant coach kind of told me, make the putts on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so you don't have to make them on Sunday. No lead is safe on this tour, especially with how good these guys are. So, Saturday I did my best to try to build on that lead and not get too comfortable. And then Sunday, learned a lot of little things about my game, but just for the most part that I can grind it out and I can rely on different parts of my game if a few things aren't working.
We'll come right over here, Steve.
Hey Jake, congrats on the win last week. Andre from Stay Tranquilo. We know last week was an emotional win, and the story came out that you and your grandfather shared a lot of memories where you guys would share a cigar and that he would have a box for you after your win. Was there a specific cigar that he enjoyed or that you had after the Mexican Open?
Yeah, it was Macanudo. So
Nice.
They came in those little white tubes. Mm-hmm. And then when I was a kid, he would fill them up with dimes and give them to me. That was kind of my
awesome.
bonus.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Michael?
Right along those same lines, your grandfather would have been the right age to really appreciate Arnold and Jack. Did he talk about those guys? Was he more of a Jack guy or an Arnold guy? Any thoughts about that?
I don't remember if he was more of a Jack or an Arnold guy. He definitely enjoyed, obviously, kind of like the classic part, to the game and the history of it. But he was just a huge sports memorabilia guy in general. So, we talked about golf, but that's why he was so great too. He never forced to golf on me, just like my parents, the same way. He was a big baseball and hockey guy, so we kind of covered all different sports.
As a young kid, was there one sport that you would have dreamed about playing on the professional ranks?
Not really. I mean, I've always felt like golf was kind of my calling or what I enjoyed most. I love soccer and basketball and baseball, but I just felt like golf was kind of always where I was happiest.
Go ahead.
Chris Barise from PGA Tour Entertainment. The officials changed number 10 from a par 4 to a par 5 to, quote, give you guys a break in the middle of the golf course. Is that kind of comedic, or is it brutal there? Do you appreciate that change?
Compared to last week, yeah, I think it's a little interesting. Playing number 4 last week, into the wind off to the right, there's not many holes where I hit a good drive, and I'm debating hitting a 4-iron or a 2-iron into a par 4. And yesterday I played number 10 and I had 7-iron into a par 5. So it's not, like most guys out here will tell you, the par doesn't really matter. You're going to play it pretty much the same way. If anything, maybe it just helps you out a little on your scorecard when, you make a 5 and you don't feel as bad since there's not a square around it. But for the most part, yeah, things like that try not to care too much about.
Karen?
Jake, you're playing, the first place prizes are life-changing money. In that scenario, what is the value of the trophy that you won last week?
I mean, the value of the trophy and all the things you get it in terms of world ranking points and getting into all these other events. I don't have a a wife or a family to worry about. It's just me, so my life is pretty cheap. And I've been in this game a long time, and so yeah, the money side is obviously great, but getting into the Masters and the PGA and things like that mean a lot more to me than what the winner's check was.
And just a second question about the trophy. So you pose for photos, and then did you leave it behind and it's being sent to you, or did you say, I really would like to travel with it? How did that work?
To be honest, I'm not even sure. I didn't ask if what kind of trophy. I know that they said that something will be sent to me. I don't think I get the one that I held there, because that thing's been around since I think the 50s or 60s. So some pretty cool names when I was able to look through that thing. Though you see Lee Trevino and some other guys on there. But they did give me a big bottle of tequila and let me take that. So I got to ship that home at some point.
We'll come back over here again.
Speaking of home, what kind of impact has your brother Ryan had on your career, and also the Costa Mesa Country Club community?
Yeah. I mean, that's, growing up in the same area. I went to UCLA because I didn't want to go too far from home. And my brother's been huge. I mean, he's 3 years older than me. He's a great player in his own right. He just kind of, when he first turned pro, realized that the travel and that lifestyle just wasn't for him. Yeah, I mean, he's kind of been like my wailing wall anytime I need to talk something out. And he's the first person to kind of hold me accountable, but also make sure I give myself a pat on the back every once in a while. So, and then the same thing for my home course. I mean, my country club, Mesa Verde, they've had me there as an honorary member since I think 2012, and those guys are great. I just saw some videos yesterday of everybody in the men's grill and watching and cheering and everything. So, yeah, it's pretty cool to have that hometown support.
Paul?
Jake, you're paired with Rory this week, obviously in a marquee group after the win. When you see that, you see you're kind of one of the focal points. How did that make you feel when you saw Tee Times come out?
Very, very surreal, to be honest. I've never met Rory, so I'm super excited to play with him, and it'll be a fun group. It'll be cool to see, kind of his action in person, and I'm sure there'll be a bunch of people around and all that kind of stuff. But for the most part, just going to go out there and play golf, and I've heard he's a super nice guy, so I'm just looking forward to walking inside the ropes with him.
Where you're at in your career, what kept you focused, motivated, knowing that a moment like Mexico could come, and that was still inside you?
I don't know. I just never really had any quit in me for the most part. Just never. Like I said, over these interviews the last couple of years, I've just kind of changed my goals in terms of needing to be on the PGA Tour at this point, or needing to win at this point, and just changed everything internal. And it's like, if I just keep working hard, keep doing the right things, good things are going to happen, and just put a lot of faith in myself that the things I'm doing are right, and it's just kind of slowly started to pay off over the last few years.
Jake, you started the year in that reorder category for the Korn Ferry Tour, kind of seeing what the bottom of that category, how many opportunities those guys have gotten. How much pressure was there early on to play well? And then secondly, you winning, do you think that maybe offers a little bit more inspiration for some of your peers to kind of get themselves out by playing some good golf?
For sure. I remember talking to my caddy and my friend Mike at the end of last season on Korn Ferry. I think after after Nebraska, finished like top 5 or something, and that kind of got me right around to the amount of points where I was probably locked in, but not 100%. And I told him, I was like, we can't settle for 30th, because that's still a priority list, and you do not, 29th is better than 30th, and 20th is better than 21st. So we kind of grinded it out to the end, and I was happy I did, because obviously I've been, Sony, I was kind of right on the bubble. Even coming into this week before Mexico, I was only 3 or 4 spots in. So we knew it was going to be tough, and then obviously it's kind of the same thing when, Korn Ferry last year, I only had 4 guaranteed starts, so, you have to play well at the start. Luckily for me, I feel like that first month of events, whether it's, I would have liked to play better at the Amex, but Torrey Pines I feel like fits me well. So you try not to think about it. You figure good golf, it's going to take care of itself. But yeah, it definitely adds a little bit of pressure. And I've talked to a bunch of the guys recently. Obviously, they've given me a lot of congratulations, and hopefully it gives them a little bit of a pat, like kick in the butt that they can come out here and win as well.
Oh, right here.
Tim Reynolds with the AP. You talked about being in the here and now, the Bay Hill coming players, but there is that other tournament coming up in April. How difficult is it to not let that consume every second, every thought, every breath, everything?
Yeah, I think it'll just kind of be on my mind, the entire time leading up to it. I think it'll be hard to ignore, but I do a good job of when I'm getting ready for tournaments, and especially starting today, especially just getting back to work, doing the stuff I need to work on to get ready for this week, and then after the players, I'm gonna take a week off and go home and let everything kind of soak in, get everything settled, and kind of build up my schedule for the rest of the year. But yeah, it's for an event like that. I'm not gonna try to act like it's not a big deal or not think about it. I'm gonna be okay soaking that one in.
Karen.
Have you heard from any Ducks, past or present, since your win?
Yeah, Ryan Getzloff texted me. We were texting back and forth the last couple days, and then a good friend of mine, he has been a good friend of mine for a long time, Lucas Spiza, who retired a few years ago. We've been texting kind of nonstop. So yeah, a few texts for sure.
All right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap it up there. Thank you for joining us. Good luck this week.
Thank you, guys.